Good morning, YouTube, friends, family. It's been a while since I recorded a video on this platform, and it's been a lot going on. So, those of you who don't know me, my name is Frank Villa. As you notice, my channel has Arturo. That's my middle name. And for a long time, actually, when I was 11, I changed my name to Frank. I was like 12, I think, sixth grade. I had moved out of town from Tucson to Yuma, Arizona. I was attending a new elementary, and the teacher started calling me by my first name, Francisco. And there's 3 Franciscos in that class, so they decided to call me Frank. And I was too embarrassed, too shy to tell them that my name was Arturo, my middle name. So I just left it, and just created this alter ego per se, I guess. So half of my family calls me Arturo, the other half calls me Frank. Different cities and different towns, some call me Frank, some call me Artie. It's been a trip. So for 17 years, I was addicted to heroin and opiates. Lots of trauma, lots of not knowing why I would self-sabotage myself so much, constantly relapsing, constantly losing everything. I'm 44 years old. I lost 50 pounds in the process. Landed in rehab first time I landed in rehab was in 2013 in San Luis Rio, Colorado, in Sonora, Mex. It's right on the border with Arizona and California, Baja. A good friend of mine's father has a rehab there called El Tepeyac. El Tepeyac has significance in Mexico. It's the mountain where the Virgin Mary appeared to Juan Diego. Well, at this place, we learned a lot about prayer. It was a Catholic-based rehab. So we did a lot of prayers, a lot of stuff like that. Meditations. I guess it's all meditation in a sense, but they weren't telling you this and none of that. So along the way, I was only there for like 3 months, and I still relapsed, man. I just kept relapsing. I couldn't figure it out. I would be good for like a month, a few weeks, and then all of a sudden, like, all these emotions would come up: anger, rage, and or physical pain. I had a lot of back issues. I was like 220 pounds, way too heavy. My hip was one of my hips, they were turned, and it caused one of my legs to be like 1.5 inches shorter than the other. So I was always off balance, and it caused a lot of issues over the years with construction work. And what I learned later was just, it's my psoas nerve. It's the longest nerve that's connected from our side here all the way down to our hamstring. And in the spiritual community, that is where we store unprocessed emotions. And it made sense, So along the way, one thing that has always helped me, that it's always been by my side, has been fitness. When I was young, I tried out for boxing, so I was always active, and I think that was a saving grace. And what I've learned is, when we do have this spiritual awakening, when we do change our lives so drastically, like put down a 17-year addiction, where later I went to rehab in Tucson, Arizona in 2015, because I got real bad again. I got real bad. I tried in 2013. Like I said, I have like 4 years, a little over 4 years that I haven't shot up. And it took 3 years of relapsing to get 1 year of sobriety. That's how serious it was. And it still is, And one thing that truly, truly just transformed my life has been plants, nature. And for me, it was first it started with the San Pedro cactus. It's kind of like mescaline, I guess, but it's in Peru it's known as grandfather, Wachuma. And I think I was like 2 months sober, but I noticed that I just kept wanting to get it. I kept wanting heroin, especially with females. It was this thing that, you know, we get addicted to many things, and one of them was sex and opiates, and so I would be like 3 months clean, right, and I would have these girls send me pictures of heroin, man. It was just, and I would try to get it. Don't get me wrong. I would try, but it was either I didn't have money or they didn't want to bring it to me. And then after that, I was just too lazy to get on the bus to try to get it. I always just wanted them to bring it, and it wouldn't happen. And the way I combated this was I just had to do different. So I just started searching for any type of groups. I would find them at churches and stuff like that. And what I noticed is when I started going to these groups and stuff like that, I would like miss the calls or miss the pictures that they would send me. So little by little, as I started focusing on my recovery, the waves of wanting to relapse got less and less. The people trying to entice me started leaving my reality in a sense, because I'm choosing something else, right? I'm no longer trying to focus on this. So little by little, it just, our attention goes to where we put it. I was desperate, man. I would smoke like 10 to 15 fattest joints that I could possibly roll. And I started juicing cannabis. I just, my body just started craving raw ginger, lemon, all these things that detox you. And I started losing weight. And along the way, I found psilocybin mushrooms. I had I was in the drug scene, so I mean I've tried just about everything and anything. And one thing I remember about LSD and psychedelics is just this euphoric feeling, this feeling of oneness. And the best way that I could describe of what happens or what happened for me was the way I explain it is just open doors and parts of our brain that have been dormant, that are no longer there, or that activates parts of our brain that are not being stimulated. As later I came to find out that this was neurogenesis, neuroplasticity, our brain's ability to rewire itself. Totally. Before they would always tell us in classes or whatever that once you fry your neurons, that's it. The drugs just fry them and you're done. And this is not true, man. So this excited me so much, just learning this information about synapses, how our brain will get rid of neural networks that are not being fired, such as addiction or tendencies to think about addiction. At first, it's gonna be hard, yeah, of course. But like I said, with psilocybin, what it does is it opens up our brain in a sense. It opens doors that are closed, and basically that's what neurogenesis is. It creates a whole new pathway that's not even there. It creates its own way through to connect and activate our brain, our prefrontal cortex, which is the command center. It doesn't finish developing until we're like 20 or 21. But for most of us addicts, by that age, I mean, oh my God, I mean, we're fried or we've suffered so much trauma that part of the brain isn't really getting connected. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna be more reactive instead of being mindful and really thinking of how we're gonna act, react. And I really think it's a stigma that needs to be broken, especially with cannabis. Cannabis activates our CB1 receptors, and CB1 receptors are I'm still learning about it, but what I have read is that those of us who experience a lot of trauma are gonna have more CB1 receptors, and guess what binds the CB1 receptors? Cannabis, CBD. It helps our nervous system relax. It activates our digestion, so we're able to eat. One of the primary things that happens with fight or flight or the freeze mode, one of the first things that's gonna happen is our digestion shuts down. Once our digestion shuts down, then we can't absorb nutrients, and the body goes into defense mode, especially if we're constantly shooting up, taking all these substances. While that's an attack to the liver, to the kidneys, and thus we get inflammation. Thus, our brain can't communicate because it's in defense mode. We can't pump the brakes because we're in survival mode. You feel me? And with psilocybin and cannabis and plants and, oh my God, juicing, all this, it basically reboots our whole physiology, mind, body, spirit. And that's another thing that I really incorporated and has helped tremendously, is getting in touch with spirit, man. God, source, however, universe, however you wish to identify with this, just believe that this higher power has something great for you, that you're a part of it, you're a spark of it, Just think of like a coral reef, right? A coral reef is one big old coral. But it's one entity, and each polyp is having its own experience, but connected to the whole thing. That's us. That's exactly like us. We're like a little spark of this immense light, this beam, this sun, Father, Son, whatever you wish to call it. But I mean, everything we do revolves around the sunlight, man. The plants take in photosynthesis that convert it into energy that gives us life, right? We're eating the sun. Animals are a secondary form of this. They have to eat the plants to convert that into energy. But it's not it's not direct from the source in a sense, you know what I mean? Think of it as like stepped on drugs, right? Yeah, you remember that, right? Right? We always went for the purest form so we can get the best high, right? It's the same thing with life, man. When we get connected to source, to the main light in our heart, that spark becomes a flame. It burns and consumes all our worries, all our fears, all our hate. And thus the connection is reborn, We become reborn, and the way we become reborn is by finding what you love to do when you were a child, When you could get just lost in the brooks and the rivers and get muddy and not care. Where you could run around in the craziest clothes and not even care what people think about you. Wearing mismatched socks, holes in your clothes, full of paint, dirty. And not caring what people think, right? Because for a long time I was a drug dealer before I really lost it into addiction and lost everything. I was so worried and wanted the name brand all the time, the jewelry, I had to have that stripper girlfriend with all that rockaware and baby fat. Yeah, that was way back then, I know. And now, after 17 years, I literally lost everything. I mean, clothes, jewelry, lost custody of my kids. I walked out on my daughter. Every physical thing that you can think of, I've lost. All the pictures of my kids. I have no pictures left. I got like one or two maybe. That's it. Physically, yeah. Of my daughter. And it's been hasn't been easy at times, but I did learn about this thing called epigenetics. And how we're affected by the food that we eat, the music that we listen to, the movies that we watch, the people we surround ourselves with will affect the way we interact with the world, you know? That's why there's a quote, you know, show me your closest 5 friends and I'll show you your life. So with that being said, that news allowed me to swallow that pill that the best place for my kids to ever have been was away from me, because I was so unstable, you know? If I'm affecting my surroundings like that, then wow, you know, my poor kids, why do they have to go through my karma? Why do they have to suffer because I'm not doing the work, you know? So in a sense, the way I had to frame it was that source was giving me the most abundant commodity that we all have, and that's time. We all get 86,400 seconds. That's it. That's all there is in a 24-hour period. Billionaires get it. Scientists get it. You know? Your favorite sports person gets that same amount of time. It's what we do with it. You know? It's what we do with it. And if we know that we can regrow our brain cells, and if we know that being barefoot on Mother Earth and letting the sunshine hit us early in the mornings and in the evenings is reducing swelling. It's like, think of it as a mother holding his child, you know, it's soothing. That's what Mother Earth is doing with her vibration, with her breath. And it's called negative ions, man. You can look it up, do your research. That's why it feels so good to be out in nature. But we can only handle so much, right? Because we're programmed to be what we've always been. Complaining about the sun, that it's too hot, that it gives us cancer. So we're going to put on all these chemicals to block out the source of our existence. That spark that we are, that photon that gives our cells life, mitochondria energy. That's all we are, man. A bunch of sparks of electricity and chemical reactions, chemistry. That's what's happening, allowing us to feel good. You know? Our mind thinks it and our heart attracts it. Our heart produces an electromagnetic wave. It's a magnet. 3 feet around us. That's what their instruments can measure. And the only reason that it measures 3 feet, because that's all they've been designed to measure. So the potential is infinite. We're part of the wave, the spark, the light. You know? So I just want to thank all my followers, everybody who supports me. If you want to see more of my content, of my art stuff, check out my page on Instagram, Frank Villa 153 on Instagram. That's where I get all more creative and do like spontaneous little things. I show off my art and little things that I'm thinking about. Yeah, so thank you for listening to my rant and my thoughts, and to all my followers and anybody out there struggling with drug addiction or mental health. I'm also diagnosed with PTSD and bipolar, and I don't take any pharmaceutical meds, you know. It's really like a reboot, man. A total rebirth. And for me, I found that the medication just interfered with that. I couldn't even process it. I didn't even know about mental health. I've heard of depression and all that stuff, but I was just so gone. I was so lost that I didn't know any about this. And so now, to me, is the way I can describe mental health or PTSD or bipolar is it's just my nervous system that has been wired for fear, for freeze mode, for fighting, always tense, always paranoid, we're always shaking, right? That's just energy, man. Trapped energy that's trying to get out. And expression is the only way, through talking, through crying, through screaming if you have to, it's a somatic release. It's energy trying to get out, man. Look up somatic releases, like when an animal gets almost eaten in nature. So there's videos that you can look up. So if a deer almost gets eaten, right? Say a gazelle or whatever is crossing a river or something, and an alligator almost eats it, but it escapes. As soon as it gets to solid ground, aka a safe space, a safe area, it'll literally process those emotions. It'll start shaking, and as soon as it's done with that, it goes back to eating. There's no depression in nature. There isn't. They got to keep going. So they process the emotions. They get back to grazing and stuff. Get back to life. So that's in a sense, that's what's happening to us, Our body's trying to shake off all this energy, but, they call us crazy. They put us labels. They don't understand the way we're thinking, the way we're feeling, We're all empaths. And what do I mean by that? That we have been in hypervigilance for so long that our nervous system literally can sense danger. It can feel the tension, and it's all based on survival. We become experts at surviving some of the craziest, gnarliest things out there in the streets, And one way it does that is through sensing, man. You can feel the vibe of a person. You could feel when it's not a good space to be at, when certain individuals are there, when you can feel it and it's like, whoa, what's up? You've all felt it. It's just that we've never been trained to acknowledge what's what, what's my emotions and what's theirs. But our body's telling us something. It always is. We always get that feeling, man. We've all done or been in situations where, like, I knew I shouldn't have done that, right? I knew I shouldn't have done that. It's that feeling, man. It's that vibe. And just the more we can get in with that, the more we can understand this language, man. And thus, we survive. So have a blessed day. And just know, man, I believe in you. You're worthy. We're all worthy of whatever we want in this life. Talk to Creator, man. Talk to your heart. Ask it what it wants, what it needs, and you'll be guided. You'll be craving certain foods because you need certain minerals. Let go of sodas and sugar a little bit and start taking things that'll speed up your metabolism, such as raw ginger. Make a tea here and there and just incorporate little by little, man. Ain't no race. It's a marathon, baby. Take your time. Breathe. And you shall be free. Have a blessed one. Love you.